Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. Before we kick off this week's episode, just a quick ask. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to make sure that you never miss an episode, never miss out on any of the strategies and tactics that we're sharing to help you continue charting your own path to freedom. And if you'd like to go deeper with any of this, we've launched a free Facebook group, which you can join at pathtofreedom.com/group. And we've linked that in the show notes to make it easy for you to find. All right. Thank you again for being here. Let's drop in to the episode. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Path to Freedom podcast. Today, I'm joined by Brigham Dallas. Brigham is the founder and CEO of Hello Sugar. It's a cool concept. I got the chance to meet Brigham a few weeks ago at a conference, and we had a really good conversation and thought it would be great to have him come here on the podcast and share a little bit about, his franchise company, Hello Sugar, but he's also got a very cool entrepreneurial story and journey, and just a super interesting guy. So looking forward to a good conversation with you today. Thanks, Brigham.
Thanks, Wes. Excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. And I got to tell you, so for whatever reason, my last name's Barefoot, which I guess is not super common. And people are always like, is that really your name? And I'm like, I mean, if I was going to make up a name, I don't think Barefoot is where I would land for the last name. But I like Brigham Dallas. I don't know, man. That's got kind of a rock star vibe. You kind of got the look with the shirt going. So even though it drives me crazy when people ask me this, I got to ask, is that your real name? Brigham Dallas?
My mom did a good job. I'm pretty proud of her. I get celebrity or stripper, either one of those pretty frequently.
Yeah, I could see the stripper thing. Yeah. Well, for any of you male strippers out there listening, you probably want to make sure that you go visit your local Hello Sugar, and that'll make sense as we get a little more into what Hello Sugar is all about. But in all seriousness, enjoyed meeting you. I've heard you on a few other podcasts. Like, you have a cool story. So maybe start off quick overview. What does Hello Sugar do? What is the business itself? What are the services that you provide? And then, I'd love for you to share a little bit of your background and, how you got into entrepreneurship and then, ultimately ended up in the sugaring business.
Yeah, a lot of questions there. I'll try to be brief to get us really started on this, but Hello Sugar is a hair removal concept. So we do Brazilian waxing, sugaring, which is another type of hair removal, and then laser hair removal. So we're a trifecta that hits all three. And how I got started with this, people say follow your passions. Yeah, I don't think that was the case for me. I tried waxing before we got started, and I was like, why does anybody do this? This is crazy. Yeah. But how I got started,
I think it's a good point. I think a lot of opportunities would be missed if people only started businesses, because I think follow your passion, right? If you're talking about the widget, whatever your business sells or the services it provides, there's going to be a lot of people that miss good opportunities, because I mean, how many businesses are out there that are providing very needed and necessary things, but things that no one in their right mind is passionate about? I think what happens to a lot of people, I know this has been the case with my wife and I'd guess the same for you. We've become passionate about building businesses and building teams and providing a superior experience to our customers. And if you kind of look at it through that lens, you can get passionate about pretty much any business.
Yeah, a couple of points on this. Be passionate about business itself, not the product itself. I sometimes marvel at how little time I actually spend running the nuts and bolts of the service itself, and how much time I actually spend on the multi-unit concept, right? So it doesn't matter what the product is, because I'm not spending time in the treatment room. I'm spending time managing employees, building financial models, growing different areas, and building systems to run a business. And really, people need to wrap their heads around what makes a business sexy is not necessarily the end product, right?
Yeah.
For me, what makes a business sexy is it scalable? Can I do multiple units of something? Are people inside the business looking for a career and not a job? That means there's going to be less turnover. Turnover is expensive for a company. Is the model something that is going to have repeat value, meaning people are going to continue to come back. It's much easier to keep a customer than it is to acquire a customer. There's much more predictability and stability there. And fourth is how much of your time is this business going to require? Is this a very time intensive business? Personally, I can't be in the salon waxing. So I'm really working on the business and not in the business. That's a really important concept for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that framework, that kind of four criteria right there. I think that makes a lot of sense. And that could be a really good way for, someone to think about, the different types of businesses that could make sense for them.
Yeah, when I was younger in my career, I interviewed an appraiser, a business appraiser, and I said, "What are the things that add value to a business?" And he mentioned similar principles as that.
What made you interview a business appraiser?
When I was in college, I took every opportunity I could to go to lunch with somebody, and I was poor, but I just said, "Hey, can I go to lunch with you and pick your brain? I'll pay for it." And just a college student asking some millionaire and saying he'll pay for lunch, people are just like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I just interviewed tons of people in college. I mean, any opportunity I could, I just made a habit of saying like, let's go grab a bite to eat.
I love that. I did some of that when I was younger, and I wish I would have done more of it. And I think there was, some feeling of like, because I, young, broke college kid, no real experience. Like, what do I have to offer? So there was like an intimidation factor there. And the few times I did muster up the courage to do it, I don't think I ever got turned down, and ended up having great conversations and great connections. And so it's like, damn, I wish I would have done more of that. Who knows what other connections could have been made.
Yeah, I started to develop a framework for this because I did it so often. And the framework was put myself down, put him up, ask for one thing. So it would work something like this. Like, Wes, I see that you're really great at franchising. I suck at franchising. Will you help me with understanding franchising? Like, it was like a very specific framework in the way that, and if it was so simple like that, like they would almost always say yes.
You're starting to remind me of Tim Ferriss, dude. And I like it. That's like a very Tim Ferriss, like, all right, here's the perfect framework to ask any millionaire out to lunch and get them to say yes.
He was, when I was in college, that was my Bible. 4-Hour Work Week. I read that thing so many times. I was like idolizing that guy.
Got it right here. It's and he's just a curious dude, right? And he puts a lot of thought into anything he's going to spend significant amounts of time on, and he is big on kind of coming up with these frameworks, which I think are good. So, and you're kind of you're living a very similar life to the 4-Hour Work Week. You're just telling me you're headed off to New Zealand on vacation, yet you've got this big, growing, thriving business. So you're in the hair removal business. Right. Yeah. For those watching, he's got a full head of hair. He's got, a beard. Like, how does someone like you get into the hair removal business? We've already established like it wasn't something you were necessarily passionate about. So why hair removal out of all the different, businesses you could have gotten into?
Before I was doing this, I was selling scammy diet pills online. And it was a terrible business. I hated it. It was unethical.
The only thing worse than that is like gas station boner pills. That's the only thing that could be worse than scammy diet pills.
Yeah, like I felt like I legitimately remember waking up at like 3 a.m, multiple nights, and thinking, I hate this. Like, I feel so unethical. I'm lying to myself and I'm lying to other people. And I didn't like that. It wasn't something that like I started and aspired to be in this. I kind of, I fell into it. I was working marketing for this company. The company decided to do scammy diet pills. And then I was like, okay, I'm already working for them. I need to make some money to stop working for them. And so it was at that time I was like talking to a friend in Utah, and she goes, oh yeah, I had to pay $20,000 in taxes. And I'm like, 20,000? She's a single mom and she works part-time. And I'm like, what do you do? Like, how much money do you make? And I thought she cut hair, and I didn't really think that people that cut hair made a lot of money. So I was like, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I do waxing. I'm like, run that by me. She goes, yeah, $45 a Brazilian. I didn't know what a Brazilian was. And she goes, $45 a Brazilian.
Google it, folks.
Yeah. Safe search on, but Google it. She goes,
Not at
4 an
work.
hour. And I said, good grief, you make $180 an hour, you make more than a lawyer. Like, how much are your product costs? And she goes, oh, it's like $1 to $2 a service. And I'm like, whoa, like, you make $180 an hour with minimal product costs. How do you find your customers? She goes, I just ran a Groupon. And I'm like a pro at marketing. Like, this is like my life is just how to market to people on Facebook and Google. And I was like, okay, well, like, how do you get people to come back? And she's like, well, that's the thing. Hair grows back every month. So people come book monthly appointments with me. I'm like, this is the coolest business I've ever heard of. Help me start this. So I flew her down to Arizona. She helped me open my first location. She trained my first employee. And, kind of a funny story. And I don't usually share this, but she said, Brigham, before I do this, I'm just scared that you're going to become my competition. And I remember laughing at her, because I'm a one-room studio in Arizona and she lives in Utah. And now we're building a national franchise. We've got, 80 plus units, almost 100 units. And I told her I'll never be your competition. And so to this day, where she's located in this town, I will never put a salon. We don't have a contract. We don't have nothing signed on paper, but you got to be true to your word on this. I've had 4 or 5 people ask me to put a location there and I've had to say no because of that conversation.
Well, that's a cool story. I'm glad you shared it. And so the franchise my wife and I own, I used to work for the founder, and he sold the business, somehow didn't have a non-compete, and is now franchising a direct competitor. And doesn't have a lot of friends on the original franchise business, but he and I still talk, and like he was a mentor of mine. Like we have a fine relationship. And in passing, this was like 2 years ago, I think we were having dinner or something. I just said, hey, don't ever sell Wilmington, North Carolina, for this new concept that you're franchising. And I'm a consultant. I can go in on the portal where his brand has all of his information, and it says sold out markets. Wilmington, North Carolina is one of the sold out markets. So he kind of, who knows if it stands, and we don't have anything in writing, but he's so far held to his word that he wouldn't put anyone in Wilmington to be a direct competitor. But anyways, that's a cool story. Would she have an interest in becoming a franchisee? Like, is she still in the business? We'll get right back to the episode in just a minute, but if you've been considering business ownership, if you're already a business owner looking to expand and you're curious about franchising, I'd love to connect with you, answer any initial questions that you have, talk about a specific franchise, and detail the exact process that I use and have taken hundreds of people through to help them understand franchise ownership, find the right franchise for them, and conduct the necessary due diligence. Click the link in the show notes if you'd like to schedule a free, no obligation strategy call. I look forward to talking with you. And now back to the episode.
She's still in the business. She still has her salon. No, she didn't want to. I even offered to pay the franchise fees and help her get all started with it. And she was where she was at. And candidly, you take a business like that, a mom and pop shop, and within a couple months we would have doubled the revenue for that, and she would have been far more profitable. But there's a profile for franchisees, and it's not purebred entrepreneur, and it's not purebred worker at the job 9 to 5. It's somebody who likes framework and likes the proven business model and is willing to follow instructions and willing to grow within a framework. And that's not her. So more power to her. I hope she does great. I wish her the best.
Good of you to recognize, right? Because you see this with a lot of brands where early on in their evolution, they bring in a lot of the owner operator type that are essentially buying themselves a job, right? Yeah. Like in a model like yours, it would have been a lot of other, small salon owners that were in there, doing the bulk of the work with clients. And then you see them, evolve over time where they start to bring in some more, I guess, business minded type owners, right? That are thinking about scaling, and they're not, working in the location. So, good on you to recognize that so early on. So your friend tipped you off on this little honey hole of a hair removal niche, and you just that also reminded me of Tim Ferriss, the way you asked her all the questions, and they were just like, boom, this is where I'm going. Like, I'm going down the hair removal route. Like, sounds like you didn't even look back.
Yeah, I mean, it was really one of those things where like, okay, I could create enough money. I needed 5K a month to get out of this scammy diet pill business and like pivot to something else. And so I started from the day I decided to do it to the day I was up and running. I had spent $3,000 in 3 months of time. And then a month in, I Googled the difference between a Brazilian and a bikini wax. I didn't even know what that was, like the difference.
I don't know that I do, honestly. I'm laughing, but I probably shouldn't be because I'm not entirely sure I know the difference.
Safe search on.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask my wife later. See what she says.
Yeah. And so, you know, first 5 years, I basically took that. It was a suite. I started a salon suite inside of the back of a plastic surgeon's office. He had all this stuff in him. So I really just needed to put supplies in and start going to market. And then I just was like, okay, let's test a bunch of things. I built a word cloud of all of my competitor reviews. And I found that the most positive sentiment correlation was to the word comfortable. So people want to feel comfortable. They're naked on a table, right? And negative is going to be
have hair ripped out of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. While their hair, yeah. It's you're literally holding your legs up in the air while somebody's inside your junk ripping the hair out. I mean, that's that's
about as uncomfortable as it gets. I think some countries they consider that a form of torture. I'm not sure, but
yeah, and people come in on a monthly basis to do it. So it's interesting, it's fascinating. But you know, we started this up. First year, I just was testing everything, and I put onto Facebook. I had a picture of a high fashion person, a girl at the beach, a pretty like older, not older, like 30-year-old woman. And then I had, you know, and this is not my words, this is what it's called, a large voluptuous woman in a bathing suit wearing, this is the website, so please don't like discriminate on me. She calls it a fat-kini. So it's a bikini for larger women.
Yeah,
sure. For larger women. That's not my words, you know, just to give you an idea what that is, right? And that profile on ads, I mean, I spent $100 on this, and I learned that it got 3 times the engagement as the other 3. So it's like, hey, yeah, like a voluptuous woman in a confident, you know, posing bathing suit. And so I was like, okay, there's something to this. Like, how do I make my clientele feel comfortable? It's not show them a beauty supermodel when they come in the door. They feel like, I don't want to get naked in front of this person. It's like, I want to hire women that just naturally are caretakers and make you feel comfortable. And that's where we built the brand off of.
Oh, interesting. And that I imagine is pretty different or counterintuitive to how a lot of other companies in the beauty space in general were marketing and the messaging that they were putting out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a smart approach. So you gathered, what did you call it? A word cloud? You gathered up all the reviews from your competitors and then analyzed. I'm telling you, man, Tim Ferriss thing just keeps, that's another very Tim Ferriss thing. But yeah, that's where you kind of said, all right, this is where we can differentiate ourselves a little bit by changing up the messaging and how we're marketing or who we're marketing to even.
You know, and if I were doing this today, I did this manually before, but I would just download all of the reviews of all my competitors. I'd probably have a VA, a virtual assistant in like the Philippines do this for me. And then I would change it. I would put it into ChatGPT. I've got a 4 Omni subscriptions, $20 a month, and just say, give me a customer sentiment analysis of what people say positive and negative about these brands, and just see what comes up. And then that's how you want to build your profile of what to look for in a business.
Yeah. Genius. And a good example of how someone can pretty easily implement AI, you know, in their business. Cause I think, I don't know. And we're going to talk more about some cool things that you're doing with AI and Hello Sugar. But I think a lot of people, like, AI just kind of has started to feel like a big buzzword that like a lot of companies are using. And I think a lot of people hear it and they're just like, are you even actually doing anything with AI, or is it just like, you know, a popular thing to say in this day and age? So what year was this that you're kind of doing this trial and error? You're running out of the salon suite in the back of the surgeon's office, getting this thing.
I mean, this is year one. This is year one, and I was totally content.
No, but what year in history on the calendar?
2015.
2015. Okay.
9 years ago, 2015.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I assume you expanded into to a standalone location at some point? Was that the next move?
Yeah, they kicked me out. They wanted to grow their operation. They said I had 2 months, and I was like, I can't build a standalone in 2 months. And I begged them, and I was able to get 6 months. And so, but I had to find a spot. I got forced. I spent at that point, I was living in a nice apartment in Scottsdale, and I moved to a lower income place. I put the $30,000 I had in my bank account. I maxed out all my credit cards. I took a $30,000 loan before I maxed out the credit cards. And so I had 110,000, and then I lived as frugal as possible to make up the difference to build my first location.
Burn the boat, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, it was all in. And then my mom moved to Scottsdale, or to Tempe at this time, Tempe with me from South Carolina, and she worked reception one day and I worked reception the other day. And so we built this like hand in hand for the next 6 months until I could afford a receptionist.
That's so cool. Is your mom still involved at all?
She's a proud supporter on the sidelines.
Yeah. Well, good. Good. You were able to retire your mom. But super cool that she moved all the way out there and did that though. Like, I think a lot of parents, because I imagine you were pretty young at this point, right? A lot of parents would have been like, what are you doing? Come back home. Like, you're going into debt. Like, a lot of parents would have not been probably all that encouraging, much less like pick up and move across the country. So that's a pretty cool story. How did this thing start getting enough momentum to where like franchising started becoming a possibility or something that you were considering?
Yeah. So the business on its own has legs, right? Like, I was profitable. I was doing well. I started teaching at a university, and I taught a class that they allowed me to just come up with. And it was a really cool concept. I said, my premise was, does school have a good indication? If I get 4.0 in school, does that give a good indication of success as an entrepreneur? And the answer is no. So I'm like, okay, what does school teach? Throw everything out the window and teach a class to help become an entrepreneur, and only grade on the things important to becoming an entrepreneur. And it like that. Created like a cult following. It was a wild. I bet it did. Yeah, I would teach.
All right. So how did a grade get determined then? What was kind of like the grading scale?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, everything was built off of my pillars. And so, like grit, failure, being comfortable with failure was part of it. Street smarts was a big part of it. And so, like, for example, the first assignment of the semester was 7 days of cold showers. Because if you can last 3 minutes of cold showers, how can you be an entrepreneur? I did a 6-hour lecture on how to negotiate. And then I required them for like most of the rest of the semester to ask for a discount every time they bought something. And people are going to tell them no. And
that is for sure a Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
That's for sure Tim Ferriss. He would do that and go lay on the ground of a public place for 30 seconds. Or something wild like that was one of the things he used to talk about, of like a way to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. It would ask for the discount, and he had this wild one where he'd be like, just go, sprawl yourself out on the floor of a local coffee shop, and you cannot get up for at least 30 seconds unless like an ambulance gets called for you or something like wild. But I mean, like, I try to do this with my kids, teach them ways to like get uncomfortable so that they can get more comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think it's very much a muscle that you can train.
Yeah. There's a part of your brain that there's an uncomfortable part of your brain, and it's a muscle that stretches. And as you do more cold showers, they've shown on EKGs, they've shown that part expand because you're willing to sit in uncomfortable situations.
Huh. All right. So are you still a cold shower guy, or have you moved on to cold plunging?
Cryo.
Okay.
Yeah. It's easier. It's faster. You don't get wet.
It's definitely faster. I've done it a couple times, but not often. I've got a cold plunge setup that it is. It's like, dude, if you can make yourself get in that first thing in the morning, pretty much guaranteed the rest of your day is going to be downhill. Because it doesn't matter how much you do it, like, it's still the last freaking thing that you want to do is go get in that cold water.
100%. Yeah, it's well said. So I was teaching this class. had sort of a cult following to it. And I feel like my calling in life is helping people start businesses. Like that's what I love more than anything. And so franchising was the natural next fit. I have something that I love my business myself. I love teaching people to start businesses, marry the two, continue with that. And it just worked out that the first year I didn't put this on the market. I didn't bring this to brokers or like to anyone. I just talked to friends and I shared on my social media channel. And a lot of my former students became my first franchisees. They were already entrepreneurial.
Really?
Yeah, they
How
liked
cool
it.
is that?
Yeah, and I made it as cheap as possible for them to get involved in this business. Like the first year, and really as a franchise, it's all about validation. So it's not about, hey, let's see who can get the most units in the company. It's like, how do we get the most units profitable as possible? And so I worked in the businesses of the first franchisees very, very like hand in hand for the first year to build the systems and everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so what year was this that you started franchising?
We went to market January 2021, 3 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I know you've grown pretty rapidly. While it's not, I totally agree. It's more about validation and, hey, are the units that you have profitable, or do they have a clear pathway to profitability? But at the same time, you've grown this thing pretty quickly by comparison, right? To what a lot of other brands that, have only been around for 3.5 years. So where's the footprint at today?
82 open locations. I have 15 locations in Phoenix. And we're set to do about 100 open locations this year. I think next year with
100 total or 100 more?
no, 100 total.
Yeah. Okay.
Just with the path of growth, we've doubled every year. I think next year we'll do 100 locations total in terms of growth.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a unique kind of launch strategy compared to most brick and mortar, right? And maybe this came from how you got started, in the salon suite and in the back of the surgeon's office. But tell us a little bit more about that, because I imagine that's got a lot to do with how you guys are getting these locations open quicker and staying on the type of pace that you are.
Yeah, and like I'll just kind of give an ideal scenario, right? So we have salon suites. There's this concept called a salon suite. It's got 40, 50 units, and it's a 10 by 10 room, and people put businesses inside of there. Traditionally, it's hair salons. Well, they don't get any marketing traction. So there's no sign on the front door. People aren't going to walk in to find you. It's all got to be online. So most waxing concepts or others, they don't succeed in these levels because they need that brick and mortar like foot presence to get people in the door. But marketing is my background. I mean, I taught at a university in marketing. I did 10 years in agency, right? So, I mean, this is what I do better than anyone. So we built the business on salon suite concepts. And it's not expensive to get started in salon suite. It's 2 to 3 months to get your doors open. And, profitability wise, it really doesn't take a lot to get profitable at these locations. And so, there's a couple of things you're doing. You're not going to make the brick and mortar money, but you're testing a market.
Sure.
And it's a lot easier to stomach testing a location when, the ups and getting it up and running is less than $50K, in terms of the actual operational hard costs. If you needed to move it, you could literally move the entire suite somewhere else with minimal like losses. You're seasoning your staff, you're seasoning your clients.
Yeah, you're building that membership base.
Yeah. And it's going to take you about a year to build a flagship. So like if you said, hey, I want to open a Hello Sugar flagship today until the time you open, it's going to be another year. So you might as well get stuff up and running in the meantime, operationally, build your brand, build your presence, people understand your market. By the time you actually run a flagship, you're so much farther along than somebody who started just a flagship, and is thinking about it for another year. Speed to market matters.
It's so true. I mean, and I think building the membership base, right? I mean, I imagine you have a predominantly female client base. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but
100%.
Women talk, man, when they're getting a service from a company that they like and they're doing a good job and they're happy about it. They're talking, right? So like the sooner you can get some momentum and some clients coming through, and to your point, you're training or seasoning your staff, but you're really just starting to get that brand awareness that that buzz going a little bit, so that you have this foundation to build off of. I think there's probably a huge mental component to this too, right? Because like personally, I've never owned any brick and mortar businesses. Our stuff's always been more service based, so we
Yeah.
haven't had the long wait times to be able to open our doors. But man, a lot of the people I've worked with and placed in franchises, like they go through some rough patches
Yeah.
in that kind of in between time while they're, all the excitement of starting a new business and like the build up and all that's kind of faded out because that was 6 months ago and they're still 3 or 4 months away
Yeah.
from opening. And in
Exactly.
the meantime, they're still shelling out money this whole time, right? But there's nothing coming in. And even though like none of that should have been unexpected, right? Like they kind of knew that that's how this was going to go. Like when you're in the thick of it, man, it can feel pretty discouraging sometimes. And so
Well said.
just for your franchisees to like have that almost not, I don't think distraction is the right word, right? But at least they're not sitting there like solely focusing on like the bank account going down and issues with construction or build out or permitting or like any of the number of different things that are going to give you a headache waiting for your flagship to be open. So I don't know why more concepts don't. Maybe I hadn't really thought about it the way you described it, where like a lot of these other concepts, they don't know how to drive the traffic because it has to be done online.
Yeah, it has to be done online. Yeah, and so there's a really, really scalable risk-averse model for Hello Sugar. It's, if you were doing a 3-pack, I would open 2 suites, take you 2 months to open each one of them, build your clientele, experience everything while you're searching for a flagship. Now you got 3 territories. You got your 2 suites plus the one you're looking for a flagship in. If a location on one of the other 2 makes more sense for a flagship, start there, or build that 3rd territory out for a flagship. And then the next year, you convert one of those suites to a flagship and close a suite. And then the 3rd year, you convert the other location to a flagship and close a suite. So in 3 years, you have 3 flagships. And it's done at a very gradual, modular pace that is the most risk-averse possible in this industry.
Whereas with your typical 3-unit development schedule, you're probably 5 years, maybe longer before you have 3 locations open. I mean, depending on the type of real estate and how extensive the build out is, but 3 years is a short timeline to get 3 flagship locations open or permanent locations open. Yeah, that's smart. Is that, so you said you have 15 yourself in the greater Phoenix area?
Yeah, I'm opening my 15th this next month.
And is that kind of have you used a similar model to that to get 15 open? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I'm a franchisee to the same extent as my franchisees are. I'm the franchisor, or the company is, but I followed that same model. Remember when I told you, like, I put all my life savings and all the debt I could possibly have to open the first location? I felt comfortable doing that, knowing that I had enough revenue coming in from my current clientele that day one I could pay my rents. When I switched that client from the suite concept to the flagship, I wasn't scared that I was going to lose money. In my head, I said, okay, I now have a brick and mortar presence. I could pay my rents based on what I was doing before. This is an easy transition because I know I can make more in the brick and mortar.
Hey everyone, we'll get right back to the episode, but I wanted to quickly share a free resource with you. If you're curious about franchise ownership and want to learn more about how countless people, including myself, have leveraged franchising as a way to create more freedom for themselves and to take control of their livelihood, I've put together an ebook. It's called Franchise Wealth Creation, and it's the perfect starting point for anyone that's just curious to learn more about this whole franchise thing and how I've helped hundreds of other people navigate all the steps involved in understanding and researching franchising. So click the link in the show notes, fill out a short form. I'll send you the ebook. I think it's a great starting point if you're curious at all about learning more about franchising. All right, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, man, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. The way you're launching in these salon suites, but then the way you've kind of thought through like how someone can more flexibly, get 3 or more locations open so quick. All right, so maybe we should have addressed this at the top, but I'm terrible at this podcast thing. What is sugaring? I think everyone knows what like laser hair removal and waxing is. We don't need to get like too into the weeds of it, but another form of hair removal, correct?
Yeah. So the most ideal. Okay, so back up, 30,000 foot view. You go to a European waxing city, Hello Sugar, Sugar NYC, any of these competitors. When you leave, you're hairless. It's not like a haircut where you're like, dang, that guy's a good artist, right? Like you're leaving hairless. So the only thing
Right.
that can separate us is the modality of the service itself. And what everyone cares about is it being less painful.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I guess like damage done in the process, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Did it hurt? Do you
Mhm.
have a bunch of red marks or ingrown hairs or whatever some of the bad things are that can happen when hair removal's happening? But so is yeah, but you're leaving hairless regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, back to your 30,000 foot view. Sorry.
Yeah, so sugaring is another form of hair removal. It's organic. It hurts less for people that have thinner hair. And it also doesn't do the damage to the skin. So, people that are redheads or like have a lot of erythema, which is like a redness after the waxing section.
Uh-huh.
Sugaring is a good option. If you get a lot of ingrown, sugaring is a good option. What I tell people is if you have thick hair, like Wes, not gonna postulate, but you probably have a thick chest hair. Like that's what I would
I
guess.
do.
Yeah,
It's true.
sugaring would be so painful because it pulls the hair as it goes on. So I
Which
tell
one
people
would be?
sugaring would be very painful for you.
Okay. I've never had my chest waxed. I've had my back waxed before and it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I would wax first, and then 4 weeks later on your maintenance appointment, I would sugar, and that would be a
Okay.
very smooth process. And I think that's the case for most people. Sugaring is great on your second plus term. And so again, it's about trying to create the minimal pain possible. And our brand is all like our brand motto is it hurts less here. It hurts less here because we find the right product for your skin, and then we're trained on pain management at the salon.
And so you're doing all three of these under one roof, which to my knowledge is a little bit different, right? I mean, you've got waxing exclusive, you've got at least one other sugaring
Yep.
exclusive like franchise model that I'm aware of. And then what about the laser hair removal? Like how different is that? What does that look like from like do you have to buy more expensive equipment,
Yeah.
more training or certification for these estheticians that are providing the actual hair removal services for your customers? Like, does that add a big layer of complexity to the business?
Entirely. Yeah. It's hard to learn waxing. It's harder to learn sugaring. It's extremely difficult to get laser involved. Like all three of those are very challenging. But what happens is, for the end user, again, the high level view is I'm going to be like, I want to do hair removal. I mean, I'm in this business for hair removal, right? And so I want to find the right service and modality that meets my needs. And so just like, wax first, then sugar, there's some people that will never like laser their Brazilian, but they'll laser their chin. They don't want to wax their chin, they'll laser it. And so we have customers coming in that will get a Brazilian wax and they'll laser their chin or they'll laser their legs. And it's really interesting how that plays out. And some people do lasering and it doesn't work for them, and they have to go back to
Yeah.
waxing later on. And so
Yeah.
by
I've
offering
heard
all
of that.
three, we have this opportunity to bring people in the door really cheap because our marketing is so strong, and then upsell them to the higher cost services later on. And that's a really
Yeah.
strong opportunity to build profits in the business.
No, it makes a ton of sense. And I'm curious about the complexity of adding laser. Cause if I think about it from a franchisee's point of view, like that's a big win for a Hello Sugaring franchisee, right?
Yeah,
If
huge.
you're helping them, figure out how to bring in this more, maybe complex or at least, new to them service that's now going to further distinguish them from the competition. Cause now you have waxing, sugaring, and laser under one roof, where you do have the flexibility to mix it up for each client, or give each client the best option for them. Like that's got to be a game changer.
Yeah. So I spoke to an esthetician a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Would you go get laser certified?" And she goes, "No." And I said, why?
Hmm.
She's like, my clients don't want that. They want to wax. They want to sugar. They don't want to shave. You have to shave if you laser. So, well, what if you had clients that did want to do it? Would you at least pass them off to somebody else? And she's like, my clients don't want to do that. And I learned very quickly that estheticians do, like, they're very focused in their ways, a lot of them, but they don't want to pass their clients off to somebody else. And this is one of the challenges: is that they will laser somebody if they're the ones doing it. I eventually convinced her to go to school and like get the certification. They'll do it if they're the ones doing it, but they won't pass that client off to somebody else. We're experiencing right now, we're just getting preliminary numbers on this. We started laser this year, by the way. 52% of the clients that wax and sugar from the laser certified estheticians, estes, are trying out laser. 52% of the wax and sugars are trying out laser. So we're seeing a huge amount. The ones that are non-laser certified, they're not referring anyone to laser.
Now, are they trying laser in replacement of the waxing or sugaring, or is that going to be in addition to?
No, they're going to replace what they're doing currently with laser. And, you know, that hurts to some degree. But, you know, a basic economic principle, Wes, if you could trade $500 of profit for $1,000 of profit, would you do it?
Well, yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah. If it's a higher end treatment that, you know, 52% of your existing customers are opting to kind of
test it,
up themselves to, all day long.
Yeah. You know, on an individual level, it hurts when you see they've been in 75 times and now 9 more times later, they're never going to come back for like waxing. That hurts. But if you look at the lifetime value of
lasers, so the lasers, you go through like one year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And then you're done forever.
You have maintenance once a year. You have to come in and still get it maintenance. But yeah, you're not having to do it as much. But the profit margin on laser, I mean, you're literally paying for light and then the service of the esthetician. So it's so high of a gross profit margin on laser. And so it works out like I would, you know, on an aggregate. So that one client that came in 75 times, I'm losing money on her when she goes to get laser. But on an aggregate, I'm making a lot more per client that comes in the door that are trying out laser. And we have all the data to support and prove that.
Hey, everyone. We'll be right back to the episode. But one quick note, you know, success doesn't happen in a vacuum. So if you'd like to learn more, you want to go deeper and interact with like-minded people, I'd love to have you join the free Path to Freedom Facebook group. You can join by going to pathtofreedom.com/group and become a part of the Path to Freedom community. All right, back to the episode. Yeah. When a lot of people may do the waxing and sugaring for a while before they pony up for the lasering, you know, so you get them for a while and then you move them up to lasering. And so, like, what is your franchise? I know you mentioned some of your first franchisees were some of your students, which is super cool.
Yeah.
What about some of your other franchisees? I mean, we've already kind of established you're not necessarily looking for, you know, the hair or beauty professional that wants to be seeing clients all day, every day. What does the mix of your other franchisees kind of look like, and what are you looking for in an owner?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's transformed a lot since those early days. Our owners today are capitalized, meaning that they have the money to invest in something. A lot of them are saying, I want to replace what I'm doing currently at my job with a business. I want to be an entrepreneur, and I don't have to have that today. I want to continue working in the job I have until I feel secure making the next step. They're not going to jump in full force into this. This is something that, you know, we haven't gotten into details about this, but like, we've looked at this entire business model and said, how do we automate almost every facet of it? And what that does for the franchisee is it allows them to continue working their current job full time. And then as the business grows and progresses, they can make that decision to leave their job and continue with Hello Sugar full time, which is really powerful for a business opportunity. And we've done things that are so unique in this business to be able to accomplish that. So we're looking for people that are capitalized, that can really relate to people and understand people well, because this is ultimately it's an intimate service, and we have estheticians that are, you know, 99% female estheticians. So you have to be able to talk to 20 to 25-year-old females with a white glove, if you will, you know, with the way to be able to approach and to talk to these people. Need a high amount of praise and a high amount of attaboys, right, in this. And so capabilities there. I don't want the military, like I'm a drill sergeant kind of mentality. That doesn't work in our business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talk a little bit more, and then we'll wrap this up. And man, there's so much more that we could talk about. So we'll have to have a round two of this at some point. But briefly touch, maybe give us a little teaser, if you will. AI, like I think I remember from the conference we met at, hearing where you guys have actually been featured within the AI kind of industry or space for some of the ways that you've taken AI and implemented into your business. And I think it somewhat goes hand in hand with what you were saying about how you've automated things for your owners.
Yeah, thanks. Just a principle. I was listening to the 8-hour Lex Friedman podcast. We talked about this before the show, and Elon Musk got on there, and he was talking about his first principle physics, and number two. I wrote all these down, but he said number two is keep deleting things until you delete 10% too much. If you're not putting things back into the business, you haven't deleted enough. It's like an engineering principle for him. And I remember just walking into a store and thinking, I hate being the only person in the store, having to talk to the receptionist, having to fake a conversation. I wish I could just get on TikTok and not talk to anybody until it's time for my appointment. Like that's like my mentality with things. And so I said, what if we deleted all of reception? What if we just got rid of it? And so, I mean, reception, if you look at the industry, they're usually making minimum wage. The tenure of a receptionist at a barbershop is 3 months. Your amount of employees is about 60 to 70% of the employees that you have working back shop, right? So like you've got a large number of people that don't care about the business, making minimum wage, representing you, booking appointments that you have to manage. I mean, this is a major piece of business. And, it was early on, I just said, why don't we just get rid of it? So we got rid of reception. The estheticians are the one checking people out. And we do all of the back-end reception work overseas. So we have a remote company that basically, we internally built it all, that was able to handle all the tickets overseas. And then we said, okay, last year we said, we have enough money to build an app, or we have enough money to invest in AI. And we started looking into AI services. And most people use the word AI. Guys, okay, tuna fish, right? Like tuna fish sandwich. No, it's a tuna sandwich, right? Like tuna is a fish, right? That's very redundant. There's like little things like that. They're like kind of like, I don't like correct people on, but you think about it. And everybody's like, oh, this is
true.
You know what I mean? Right?
I love the tuna fish analogy though. That's great.
Right? Like you think about this and everyone's like, oh yeah, I've got this AI system. They don't have generative AI. They have a powerful computer. Like we need to be more careful about what we're saying here. And when I went through this process with our team of like looking for an AI solution, everyone said they had AI, but they were just like a powerful computer. Like it's if this, then that kind of statements. We thought for generative AI, and we made a huge bet. We spent $250,000 on this, and it was a major bet because we didn't know if it was going to work or not. And in September of last year, we put the money down. We launched in January, and by a week or two later, we had 30% full automation. Today, we have 64% automation. So that means from the time people ask for something until the very end, we're able to handle that within seconds through a generative AI, meaning it's actually answering the question without a script, without a prompt. People think it's a human. It's the fastest service you could possibly get. And it's so good, best in class, like Lululemon. These are e-com brands, right? Like e-commerce is a lot easier than a service-based business. They're hitting 70% full automation, and we're at 64% today. And my goal is to be above 70% for a service brand. And that's like,
well, because you can only get but so far, right? Because the esthetician still has to actually rip the hair out of the client. You can't have AI do that for them, right? Is that what you're talking about? Like,
no, I'm talking about
64% of the entire customer experience is automated, or
no.
What is the 64 a percentage of?
Like anything to do with booking an appointment, scheduling, rescheduling, cancellations, memberships. I'm on my period. I need to know what to do. Like I'm running 5 minutes late.
The booking and scheduling component.
Flow. Like the customer experience outside of the actual waxing experience, we're at a 64% automation. Our goal is to be above 70%. It's so good today that there's a world conference of AI. We were featured in this conference. And like the best developers in AI had said, I want that system. And we custom built this ourselves internally. We're really proud of this.
So you hired someone to do it, or like where did the know-how to build this generative AI program come from?
When we worked with the AI platform, they gave us $30,000 of resources. So once that was up, it was like, okay, I get it. Now we're going to build it ourselves. But to be fair, like it's all prompt engineering, right? Like this is, I mean, you know, we got a teaser for next time. We can go into details next time. But just to give you kind of like a teaser of this, Wes, like we have a list of like links that go to like locations. And you know, if you were programming, you would say, when they say this, go to this link and do this, right? That's programming. That's a computer. Generative AI says, hey, check out this wiki that has all the list on it. And you're just telling this prompt to it. When you see the location that matches what they say, give the link associated with that location. So it's a prompt. It's not like you're computer programming something, right? And it took us so long to get that prompt right. I mean, it was like, it's like, all I want you to do is find this location and give this link. But it had such a hard time. Like it's got a mind of its own. That's what AI is. Being able to connect the two. And it was a really interesting process to get that.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And I just don't have the brain to fully comprehend, you know, a lot of this stuff. And you know, it's fascinating though. And I think the possibilities are endless, you know, and it's cool to see, you know, a company like yours finding smart ways to implement some of this new technology to where it's not just like, oh, now we can say we're using AI. Like, no, there's like a tangible benefit that your franchise owners can see from it, that your customers can experience from it. So it's cool, man. It's a cool business in general. You've got a great story. You know, I think you're doing some things very uniquely and certainly in your industry, but also, you know, in franchising. And, you know, for someone like me that just sits here and, you know, looks at hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of franchise companies, like it's refreshing to talk to someone like you that's got, I think just kind of a somewhat unique way of looking at things. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see where Hello Sugar goes over the next couple of years. And definitely look forward to staying in touch, and we'll certainly have to do round 2 of this at some point. Where could people go if they want to connect with you, see if there is a local Hello Sugar in their area? Use this generative AI tool that you guys have built to get them an appointment booked.
Yeah, I'm sure you can like find us if you just Google Hello Sugar Salon. You'll find us on there.
Yeah, I would hope so. All the talk about your marketing background, I would certainly hope that they can find you if they
Google. Just go on Bing. If you go on Bing, you'll be able to find us, or ChatGPT, but not Google itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Been blacklisted from Google for misinformation or something.
Too much AI.
Well, and for any of those of my listeners that are challenged when it comes to Googling, we'll put a link in the show notes to make it extra easy for you guys to find it. Brigham, thank you, man. Enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Cheers. Pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.